Imagine a hen licking Sean Penn. Weird, right? But hen and pen rhyme with 10. Imagine wine that is very, very fine. Well, wine that is fine rhymes with 9. Imagine a gate and you are arriving a little bit too late. Well, gate and 8 rhyme. 7 is my friend Evan.
Yo, what's up?
Listening to Stairway to Heaven. And those rhyme with 7. And 6 is sticks, ideally in the hands of a drummer. 5 is a hive, 4 is a door, 3 is a tree or a bee, 2 is a shoe, and 1 is a bun, or maybe something else that we probably want less of in the world. This is the number rhyme technique. It is incredibly powerful. It's both for adults and for kids, and I think it's probably the most entry-level memory technique that there is. So, if you're new here, you love memory techniques, this is Dr. Metivier from magneticmemorymethod.com. Get subscribed if you love to sharpen your mind, to remember more, to understand more, to make better decisions, and hit that thumbs up for the love of memory so that the robots remember that we humans love to be able to use our minds at the fullest possible level, so we can wrestle reality back from them as they keep taking over things, or so it seems. Now, what is the rhyme technique really? If you don't know memory techniques, it's basically a variation on what is often called a peg word method. So what is a peg word method? A peg word method is something that allows you to have images for words that are essentially linkable to other things very, very easily. So a lot of people use number rhymes as pegs to help them remember a shopping list. So if you needed to remember that you were supposed to buy sardines, for example, you would have 1 is a bun, and then for that first thing on your list, you would have sardines shooting buns out of their mouths. So weird, right? It's hard to forget that it was sardines as the first thing on your shopping list because of that. And then let's say you needed spaghetti for number 2. Then you have a shoe filled with spaghetti, and the spaghetti is, breaking up into massive sounds. And you know how they say in Italy, you're not supposed to break spaghetti and something bad is happening. So that helps you remember. So what was my second list? Oh, right, my shoe was filled with spaghetti being snapped and people are getting angry at me for that. What was number 1? Oh, right, sardines, etc. And you just go through these images and you associate them with the pegs that are rhymed with the number. So sometimes magicians use this when they are giving a demonstration of memory techniques, where they'll have an audience throw out a bunch of words and then they'll say, okay, who had the 7th word? And they'll just rapidly remember what that was. And it's quite miraculous that they can do it out of order, but it's because they have associated it with an object that rhymes with the number. It doesn't get any simpler than that. All you have to do is take a bunch of numbers and then rhyme them with images. Now there's a couple of little noodly things here that I gave in my opening demonstration that will help you get this right from the beginning. Notice that I said for 7, it is my friend Evan listening to Stairway to Heaven.
Great, but now that I can remember sardines and spaghetti, you've made me hungry.
You might not have a friend named Evan, but you probably do know Stairway to Heaven. Now, why am I saying that instead of just heaven in an abstract way? Well, let's say that on my shopping list, tomatoes is the item there because we're making sardine spaghetti. Eee. Well, we need some tomato sauce, right? So we need tomatoes, and if I just say 7 is heaven, well, at least in my imagination, it's rather difficult to think of tomatoes in heaven. It's just kind of abstract. I've never been to heaven, probably not going there, this kind of thing. And it's just an abstract concept. But what's much stronger, by the way, I'm in heaven right now. If you've ever read my book, The Victorious Mind, you know that you could manufacture wonderful bliss just by using your memory in a particular way. So if you haven't read that book, you might want to check it out. All right, so you want to have as specific as possible. So you could use the roof of the Sistine Chapel, for example, which I've used as a Mary Palace. It's quite good, at least that central room where you have the Michelangelo paintings on the ceiling. You could use that as your reference to heaven, and it's just much more concrete. It's much easier to see a bunch of tomatoes raining down from that specific heaven than it is from the abstract concept of heaven. But by all means, if you have a very, very concrete idea of what heaven is, then use that. But I like to, as much as I can, actually have multiple images. So for 2 is a shoe, it's not just any shoe, but it's a blue shoe, which is another rhyme, right? And it's not just a bun, but it's a bun on the run. And, it's got that kind of sing-songy thing to it. I think it's a Paul McCartney song, Band on the Run or something like that. Like, it's got that kind of tune to it, which adds another dimension that makes it much more easy to connect to the things that are in the list that you're going to memorize. Now you might be wondering, can you do this with foreign language vocabulary? Well, to a certain extent, yes. So imagine that you were learning the German words for fruit and vegetables, like Obst and Gemüse, if memory serves. So now you would want to have your list, and let's go backwards. We say that, 10 is a hen with Sean Penn. How are we going to remember, let's say, Obst? Well, we're going to have Sean Penn doing something with a giant O, but we'll remember that it's our 10th word, and because we have someone specific, an actor, we can even have him in Penn Station, which will now be our memory palace. If you don't know Penn Station, you can look it up on the internet and maybe make a remote memory palace out of it. And imagine Sean Penn with some big O, and then you got to do something for B. And this is where having a peg word system is really, really useful, because whenever you think of B, you'll think of something like Batman. Batman on the run! Batman on the run! Sorry, was the mic on? So now it's like Sean Penn in Penn Station with a giant O that maybe it's an Oreo cookie, throwing it at Batman.
Please don't do that, or I'll sing again.
So Oreo cookie at Batman, Ob, and then you got something for ST. Maybe you think of that band, Suicidal Tendencies, ST. In some of their songs, they always had this ST, ST, something like that. Maybe you don't know who those people are. That band, you could think of, I don't know, Shania Twain, the country singer. You just got to think, who could I use? And have multiple associations if you can, because I like to use Shania Twain sometimes. I like to use Suicidal Tendencies sometimes. I wish that they would do a duo, because that would sound pretty amazing. Mike Muir, Shania Twain, if you're listening, make it happen. That would be cool. The point is that now we have an Oreo cookie with Batman and Shania Twain in a duet with
how brave of the great memory master to be sharing a mind blip.
Suicidal Tendencies, yes, that's right. And now we go Obst. And now we get some fruit involved in there. And Sean Penn is at a fruit stand in Penn Station. So now we've got Obst. Now we need Gemüse. We would just go to 9, right? So 9 is a very fine wine, and we could think of, some sort of song, and I have a song in mind about wine.
I lied. I am going to sing about strawberry wine, because I was 17, the hot July moon.
Strawberry wine, this kind of stuff. And we can now have this in another memory palace, or we could continue in Penn Station if we're using that. And we could actually get Sean Penn involved again if we want, and on and on and on. The whole point is that you'll be able to take Gemüse, you'll be able to look at it, you'll interact it with wine, which is the 9th thing on your list if you're using wine for 9, and you can think about the singer that is involved in this that I have in my mind, and she's going to be involved with something with the letter G to remind me of Gemüse. And then Jem is, I think, a comic character or a cartoon character who is also a musician. And Uza, we can have Uma Thurman in there. So the whole thing is to really, really learn these systems, dive in. You could use them for anything. That is a list. And you can learn languages with it. You could learn the periodic table of the elements with it. You could go on and on and on and on. The whole thing is, and the trick is you need to develop these systems. If you need help with that, the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass gives you the memory palace system. It gives you these peg word systems through exercises. I actually call it magnetic imagery and a celebrity list to make sure it's as specific as possible, walk you through all of that operation. You learn how to do this with numbers, learn how to do it in a way that uses a process called recall rehearsal to get lots of information into long-term memory quickly. And having a number rhyme system in your toolbox is just one of many, many things that you can do to remember more faster and for the longer term. It is better living through better memory. It's so deeply fulfilling, and wow, it gives you weird ideas, like Shania Twain singing a song with Suicidal Tendencies, which, maybe not your bag, but it is so entertaining, the things that happen to you in your mind, and you just have a lot more fun in life as a result. That rusty chain of your brain becomes very, very well oiled, and that bike goes so fast it does jumps and flips, and wow, amazing, amazing things happen to you as a result of just simple things like number rhymes. All right, so as an introductory assignment for your kids, if you want to try this out, it is one way that they could learn the multiplication table a lot easier. And I'll just give you a simple example of how you can bring all this together in a memory palace. If you are learning 2 times 2 is 4, imagine that your kids rhyme 2 with shoes, their own shoes, or the shoes of their favorite celebrities, and they have 2 pairs of them by the door of their room in the memory palace version, and they're imagining those there. So they have 2 pairs of shoes by the door. Well, that's 4, right? And it is very, very simple way to start remembering your multiplication times table. And you can get involved in the process, be part of that league of extraordinary parents who uses memory techniques yourself, and then you go and teach them to your kids. And you can do this throughout your home and just think 4 times 4 and then come up with the rhyme that relates to the answer. You could have, a bunch of doors on a wall or in a painting in your room, and then come up with a rhyme for the answer to that solution and help them do this all the way up to 9 times 9. And they'll think that you are very, very fine indeed. And if you want to expand from the number rhyme system, you will want to learn about the major system, which will allow you to make this a little bit more robust. It's not a rhyming version of peg words, but rather it turns individual numbers into consonants. And then you can use those consonants to make words. So a simple one would be 71 becomes cat, because 7 is now associated with a K or a hard C sound, and T is associated with a 1. I know it's kind of mind-melting at first when you look at it, but it's actually really, really easy. It's quite quick to commit to memory, and it's very, very fun and fast to use. And there's a variation on it called the Dominic System. We have a video comparing the Dominic System to the major system on this channel that I created for you a couple years ago, but it's still very, very valid. People are still leaving comments on it to this day. So if you would like to take the number rhyme system to the next level, go ahead and watch the Dominic System video next, and consider it in comparison to the major system that I just very loosely described. But don't feel that you have to use one or the other. I use number rhymes, and I use the major, and I use the major built out to what's called a 00 to 99 PAO, and I use number shape systems as well, and they all coexist. They're part of this magnetic memory toolbox where when the situation presents itself, you know exactly what to do, exactly how to do it, and it is an extraordinary amount of fun because it sharpens the triangle of memory, where you have your memory, you have your perception, and you have your ability to solve problems. And when those things are sharp, that triangle is extraordinarily powerful for achieving exactly what we want: better living through better memory. So thank you for watching this. Go ahead and check out that Dominic System versus the major system video next. And until we have a chance to speak again, thank you so much, and keep yourself magnetic.
Batman on the run! Batman on the run! Oh man, the mic was on.